probably the past, I would say, couple of years, I was managing drinking, but it was still showing up in my life in patterns that were toxic, like.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the #1 mental health and addiction podcast, the Hopeaholics. I am your girl, Natalie Eva Marie, and these are my boys.
I'm Chad.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow us on our socials and wherever you get your podcasts.
Got a new episode dropping every Monday and Thursday. Please come check it out.
This episode is brought to you by the Infinity Group. You guys, if you or a loved one is suffering, please call us today. The number is right here on the screen. We are here for you 24/7. Now, let's get into the episode.
Noel, welcome to the Hopeaholics
Yeah, welcome.
Podcast.
After all these months, 6, 7, 8, 9 months we've been trying to get you on. Just postponing.
I know. No, there was,
Yeah, just things came up.
Busy girl,
Very.
you know?
Yeah.
That's
Don't
what
give
happens.
her a hard time,
I know,
Shane. I just
Shane.
met her.
Jeez.
She's a wheeze.
No,
What's
I'm
wrong with
excited.
you?
I feel like it was the right timing
Yeah,
for me in my life, for sure, right now.
That's nice.
So,
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. I really
Good.
am. Definitely.
You're local?
I'm originally from Northern California.
Oh, you are?
like
What
the
part?
Bay Area.
Me too.
Kind of like, okay, so we were like raised in the Bay Area, so
Okay.
like Santa Clara, San Jose, and
Okay.
then I grew up very poor, so we lived in the valley of Northern California because it was cheaper and we were a bigger family. So we like went back and forth,
Valley, like where?
like Modesto.
Totally, that's where my family's from.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't grow up there, but my grandparents live in Los Banos and
Yeah.
Modesto and that little kind of area over there, so I know exactly where that is.
yeah. Usually, most people are like, I'm like, it's like cows.
Oh, no one, yeah, exactly. No one
Modesto's
knows.
developed out a lot more.
Oh, for
now.
sure. So is Los Banos, where my grandparents used to live.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, when I was little, it's like an hour and a half away from Concord is where I grew up.
Yeah,
And nothing, like literally nothing, but it has, gotten
Better.
the McDonald's, the Walmart, those types of things.
My mom's like, move back. I'm like, no, Mom, I love you guys, but I value my quality of life and I love it here in Orange
Yeah.
County. Yeah.
When
I've
did
been
you
here
move?
I moved out here like end of 2016.
Oh, okay.
End of 2016. And I've been here ever since. I went to LA for a couple of years.
Oh, you did? So you got to dabble in LA for a bit?
Oh, yeah.
I did too. Oh, yeah.
It was, honestly, a lot of people are like, oh, you meet people there. And I'm like, the energy you put out is what you attract.
Sure.
I met incredible people. I did a lot of growth business-wise, just self-development
Totally.
in general. That's when I really started diving deep into that. And then, but of course, you meet,
Of course.
the people that lead you down the path.
Of course.
Like, how do you guys live this life every day? It's
Yeah.
unsustainable, but, and then at the end of the third year, I worked remotely and I was like, what am I doing here? Get me out of here. And I lived in Orange County a year and a half before that. It was totally just all God orchestrated because I couldn't picture myself living anywhere else, like even going back home as much as
Okay.
the only thing that sucks is like my family's all
Sure,
in
sure.
Northern California.
Yeah.
But I love my quality of life here. I love it.
No, I totally get it. I mean, LA is a beast. It can chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah, definitely.
If you let it. But like with everything and everywhere, you're going to have your good gems.
No.
Yeah, it is.
I know, but still, you could get hunted down in LA. You're not going to really go during the day and get hunted down in Orange County. You are, but you're not.
No, it's
You know what I'm
everybody.
saying?
It's what we always say. It's like who you surround yourself with. So it's like you, especially being young and going out there, you're curious.
Yeah.
You're way more
When I go to
influenced.
when I go to
Yeah.
LA, I'm on high alert.
Yeah, and you're also a man. It's very different.
All right, that's all I'm saying.
Well, women should be on high alert in
Always,
LA too.
especially now.
Yeah.
Now more so than ever.
I
Yeah.
got out right at the end of before COVID. Totally
Nice.
God. I'm like, and then everything that was happening during COVID, I'm like, we don't even have a COVID in Orange County.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not a thing.
especially like South Orange County, like it didn't really even exist out here.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was nothing compared to when we moved to Texas. I mean, it was still, enforced with whatever going into certain establishments like grocery stores out here.
Yeah.
Where in Texas, shit didn't exist.
Yeah.
Everyone's like living
regular
their
life.
best life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see. I think the sad thing for me is because I did live so a good chunk of like my 20s in LA.
Yeah.
That going back now, even to certain areas that I used to live, you couldn't pay me to live there now.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
It's wild.
Yeah.
City of Angels.
It's sad. And it's like I think
Dark.
about it and I'm just like, gosh, how they run it. They're just like running into the ground. And same thing with San Francisco. Which
Oh
makes
my-
me sad. Breaks my heart. I love
Totally.
the city. Like that's one of my favorite cities.
Yeah.
It is sad.
And it's like, okay, how are things being ran out here? Orange County, you can walk outside. You don't feel like, or even just the things that have kind of recently been happening in Orange County. I'm
I
like,
know.
what is like,
And
you
it's
know,
like it's the richest state.
I know.
So it's terrible. I mean, even the road work. I mean, I went to college
Yeah.
at Cal State Fullerton, and they were working on the 5. 20 years later, we're still working on the 5.
Yeah.
Well, we started
Like-
over because they didn't build enough lanes.
So insane.
Actually, I was on the 405. My bad. But the 405, I don't like LA. I'm just gonna go over there right now. LA is not my thing. My jam is right here in South Orange
I've
County.
been here 20 years.
I mean, I like Orange County in general.
That's it.
I don't really go much past Huntington Beach.
No need to.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a special place for LA just because I learned and grew a ton,
Yeah.
and experienced a lot of things that I want to take back.
Yeah.
And I'm not from, you guys were, or you not, but you were born out here. So that makes sense. And I'm born in
Yeah.
the Bay. So you always have love. Like any place that you have any type of roots, you're going to have a little bit of, love towards.
I grew up in the Inland Empire. You guys,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Inland Empire. Yeah, there we go.
the Big IE.
There we go.
Yeah,
Nice.
909. Area
909,
code.
baby.
Yeah.
So I see some people. There's one big guy online has that tattooed on his chest. Huge guy. This guy's like 350. Does pull-ups. Huge guy.
Yeah.
Male
Wait.
guy. 909.
It's like Strength Cartel.
I think it could be one of those guys.
What's his name?
Really
Big
huge.
boy.
Oh yeah, and then he goes with a skinny guy too, and they do the pull-up.
Are you sure?
think so.
Yeah, he's friends with Big Boy. Yeah, all
Right?
this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Is
Uh-huh.
it 909? I think he's got on him.
I think it's 949.
Is it?
No, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Could be.
I
One
think
of
he's
the
from, I
nines.
feel like he's from Orange County.
Could be. It could
But
be.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, he's a big beast.
So what do you do? What we don't know.
No, well,
I'm just kidding. I knew.
How,
I didn't
what
know.
you said you have come from a big family. So where are you in sibling wise?
I'm the baby. I'm the baby of 4. Yeah.
Okay.
I have
Yeah.
an older brother, older sister, and then older brother than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are your parents still together?
No. That was a long toxic relationship that I had to do a lot of unlearning from. They were together for 24 years and they really tried. They both came from broken backgrounds
Sure.
and they, were kids that got together, had us all very young. And they just, now that I look back on it, I understand now that they tried their best and
Totally.
they did actually pretty well for what they both came from. But it was just very toxic in every way. And then they were always like legally separated. And then finally, when I turned 13, they like officially divorced, and then it was like done. Yeah.
Did they live close, or did you have to do kind of
The back and forth thing.
yeah.
Yeah. My mom was like the hard ass and the strict one, and you're not going to do this just because I'm your mom type of a deal. And then my dad was like the complete opposite. So I was always my mom's baby growing up. Then as I started getting into my teens, I was like a little rebellious because she was so strict, because she didn't want us to do what she did at a young age. Even though we were all like really good kids, she was still super strict. So I would like go to my dad's and then kind of like go back and forth,
Yeah.
for a while. Yeah.
Are you close in age with your other siblings?
One of my older brothers, yes, we're about like 2 years apart.
Okay.
And then my older sister, we're 6.5 years apart. And then my older brother, we're about like 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned like the divorce. Do you remember being 13 and it affecting you, whether it was positive or negative?
Yeah, that's actually funny you asked that question, because when I think back on it, it actually really, even though they were always legally separated and that was my norm, it did really affect me. It did, because it was like, oh, this is like real, and then my dad started seeing someone immediately after, and then that's when it became really real. And it was, that was a hard time for me for like probably like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially just because I feel at that age in general is like you're already dealing with your hormones and then school and then high school.
But sometimes it can be done differently. Like maybe what affected her was her dad getting that girlfriend. Like what was it about the divorce? Because my parents went to divorce at the same time, and I didn't. Like I look back, was it dramatic? Yeah, it was dramatic. I have a memory of my mom chasing my dad around the table with a knife.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm dwelling on it.
I don't know.
I don't feel like I didn't feel like it affected me in a really, really bad way.
Yeah.
I think it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I try to think back to it, I don't really I can't really recall exactly what it was that was like really hard for me. Because my family was like always just, we were heavily in church. I was raised in church. Actually, I'm very, very grateful for that. And as soon as I remember, because I was the baby, so it was like hard for me to remember back on things. But as soon as we like walked away from the church, it was like my family just like crumbled. And but I don't know. I guess what the hardest thing for me was like it became reality. Like it was like I was always so used to like the toxicity of just, oh, they're not together, they're together. It was my norm. That's all I knew.
No, that's tough. That's
tough.
Yeah, that's
so
tough.
Then probably
going back and forth like that, torn.
Yeah.
My dad was in a motorcycle accident in Tacoma when I was like 6 months after when I was 10 years old. So I never had that opportunity to go back and forth. I was with my mom. So yours was way more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pulling back and forth. That's tough.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially being so young.
Yeah. And then you're 14, 15, you want a little more freedom and you go with the dad and that leads to who knows what.
Yeah.
Which we're going to find out pretty soon, I think.
Yeah. So it probably like when my dad actually started dating someone, that's probably when it really was like, oh, like this is real, they're not getting back together.
Yeah.
And then my mom was just kind of like off in La La Land. And so there was just that was the point of no return. I
feel like it's pretty typical of a teenage daughter and a mom to go through that little rough patch because moms are usually the strict ones.
Yeah.
When it comes to the teenage girl,
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%, bro.
Both my.
I just know this because I'm currently in that
going through
with my wife and our daughter.
Yeah.
And they are button heads like no one's business, which is fine. I think it's totally typical.
I think it's normal. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a weird age.
And I'm too soft. I'm too like we need that in my household.
Yeah.
We need
the
balance because I'd probably be letting her do way too much stuff.
Oh, yeah. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
And then
getting manipulated,
and then resenting it later, and saying, "Man, why am I such a how did I not think about that?"
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jesus, that was so clear to me.
I would have never known that you could change your location on your phone.
Are you kidding
with an app?
Thank you. I never. Who knew?
You can.
Yep.
TikTok.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So these kids nowadays,
I know.
These kids nowadays, like all they have to do is buy an app, and they get this app. And they can be like, I'm going to Sarah's house, and they can put their location at Sarah's house, take their phone with them, and go wherever they want to go.
Oh my gosh.
And so when you're checking their location, you're like, oh, my good girl is at Sarah's house.
Oh, isn't that nice?
So nice. And then you text her and you say, how's it going? And, oh, everything's good. We're just, laying here watching a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, we're at a club.
Yeah.
We're at a club.
It's the same things though. I feel like we just don't know it because the craftiness is now with like social media and our phones where when we were kids, you're crafty doing same thing but just in a different matter. Like for sure. I went to my girlfriend's house and had her telephone line, so that way my parents would call her that line, knowing that no one was going to answer and you would get the voicemail as opposed to the main line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
know what you're
So it's the
saying.
same thing. It's the same. You just figure
Yeah.
out a way
Get
to
around it.
get what you want
Yeah.
at that age.
See, my parents just never called. We would be like, yeah, we're going to stay at Gavin's house. And Gavin would be like, we're going to stay at Chad's house. And then we go wherever the hell we
bone
want.
out.
I think it's also very different with boys
girls.
and
Yeah,
girls.
it is.
Like
Yeah.
my dad
It is.
made that very clear when I was,
Yeah.
wanting to go out. He's like, yeah, no, you're not one of the boys, so
More strict.
sit your ass home.
My now I will tell you guys that with my daughter, my oldest daughter Aurora, I was a single dad when she was in her teenage years, and I would, I never trusted that she was where she was telling me she was. So I would always make her get something like a newspaper or something that had
Oh
today's
my
date
God.
on it.
Whoa,
She would have
bro.
to take a picture of
Oh
it
Lord.
and send it to me through text.
Oh, that's
Which
That's-
now
that's something I
can-
would do, but
No.
that is cray cray.
Yeah, but now
I'm sorry,
you
that's
can't-
me. I would do that, bro. Because you know what? Yeah.
Yeah, but kids recognize game. They're gonna take that photo and then they're just gonna Photoshop the actual date of
Yeah.
the current one,
Whoa.
and then be able to send it and be all good. And you're like, oh, what a good girl.
Yeah. Send me a
Meanwhile, she's
picture
at
of
Billy's
his
house.
mother, of the mother and you in the kitchen.
No,
eating a
FaceTime me
donut.
real time.
Yeah, well, I do know that one time then we'll get to you because this is about you, but you sparked some stuff in us, obvious,
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
But so what you just said,
Yeah.
one night Gia was, I shouldn't tell this story on here, but I'm gonna anyways because it's great. Donna said, who are you with?
Yeah.
Well, Gia sent her a picture that she was with her friend's mom.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, Gia had taken an old picture.
Put herself in it.
No, just an old picture of the girl and her mom driving in the car and sent that over. Donna found that picture on the girl's Instagram page.
Oh shit.
From over a year ago.
Oh Lord.
See, Donna does investigating. I don't do any.
No,
Oh,
neither
yeah.
do I.
Women
Are Nancy
detectives.
Drews, dude.
Yeah.
My mom is the best one.
Yes.
They could be
Baron digs deep,
legit
too.
detectives.
Deep.
Yeah.
Deep.
I feel like that's kind of hard to do though, because now when you send pictures, it like literally gives the date and the
Screenshot
and the
it. It's
time.
today's date.
was okay. I've wondered that if it's
Yeah.
say I don't have to.
You got to screenshot it.
I don't get keep tabs on me anymore. So
Yeah.
Nobody's
I don't have
keeping
to do-
tabs. Yeah.
no.
How old were you when you moved?
To over here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, when was that? 2006. I was like early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at end of 2016. Yeah, yeah. It was my sister was actually living here in. She was living in like Santa Ana, Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
And she was working with shreds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I met you once before, like a long time ago. I don't expect you to remember. It was a long time ago when you guys were all with shreds together.
Yeah.
And then so it was like, that's why I was like, it was so God orchestrated because I was wanting to, I was like back home, just starting my social media platforms and working like 3 jobs. And me and my sister like always butted heads. So we didn't have the best relationship, but she's like, she's going through a breakup and she's like, come live over here, you know? And I'm like, we don't like,
Yeah.
you could like kick me out at any moment. I just wasn't
Right.
in a place like financially to
Sure.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To pick up and go.
Yeah.
And she's like, just come live here. And then I went and lived here. But I came and lived here with her, and it only lasted a couple of months, which I expected because we fought. And yeah, and then I was here for like a year and a half, then went to LA, then came back.
Wow. Wait, do I know your sister?
I don't think she's like an OG in the fitness industry. She's like she started back before like influencers
Sure.
with like fitness were like very saturated. Jessica Arevalo.
Oh my gosh. I totally do.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't.
Yeah,
sure.
because Jonathan when we got together, Jonathan was with Blizzard Entertainment, which is like a gaming company. Like he's a super nerd, but he also was really into fitness, so he had gotten shreds.
Yeah.
And at that same time, that's when I was on the road with WWE, so I like encouraged him to quit his job and just go full time that avenue.
Yeah.
So like I want to say at that time it was like Jonathan, your sister,
Yeah.
Devin, Paige,
Yeah.
Joey,
Uh-huh.
like that like
Yeah.
beginning crew
Exactly.
before obviously everything blew up to
Yeah.
you know what it is today with a lot of fitness influencers.
Yeah.
That was like the start.
The
So yeah, I
start.
totally do.
Yeah.
Wow, crazy.
I know. Small world.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. I feel
So-
like once you're in the fitness industry or like familiar with it, it's very small.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just with everything though. Like the whole 6 degrees of separation is real.
Yeah.
Like meeting somebody that you know of somebody, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're all
that knows somebody
right.
that
So
you
it's
know.
always good never to burn any bridges or be a jerk
Yeah.
because somehow, some way,
Yeah.
it kind of will circle back.
Yeah.
And then
Very
you're
true.
like, ooh, you know. Had you always been into fitness, or did you guys play sports, or?
So I honestly wish I would have. My parents didn't really stress like education, at all. Like they didn't prioritize it. Like we were always late to school. I was late to still haunting me. I was always like, and so, but I'm that weirdo that like loves long distance running. It's just like,
Okay.
I love
Yeah.
it. So
Yep.
I ran cross country all through high school, and growing up, my dad was like into bodybuilding, and now I look back on it, and he got my mom into it for like a little, and I look back, I'm like, dang, I was actually very fortunate because my testimony of getting into fitness was never any like body dysmorphia things. It just really set me on a better path for my life,
sure.
and created a lot of opportunity for me and stuff, and gave me purpose in a season of my life that I really needed it. But yeah, I grew up knowing like what non-fat and low-fat stuff
Sure.
was and stuff, and I'm like, dang, I was actually fortunate to know that stuff, and now that's stuff that
Back in the day, before books were even written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the
Or
internet.
yeah.
The internet.
Before Chat GPT.
Yeah, man,
Exactly. Oh,
that's
gosh,
cool.
that
Yeah, no,
thing's
my
a
mom
beast.
was the same.
Yeah.
She was a nutritionalist like in the 70s.
Yeah.
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 That's good.
So, and then my sister competed, and I like would go to the gym every now and then I would just not really be committed to it or
Sure.
serious about it. And I was kind of dabbling in like partying a lot on
Yeah.
the weekends, and then going to the gym and not making any progress,
Yeah.
and just feeling fatigued and like shit through all my workouts for obvious reasons. And then after like a two years of doing that, I just had this like flip switch, and I was like, I have so much potential and I could really go far in this. Like, I need to commit and be serious. And then that's when I did. And then I competed in my first bodybuilding show in 2015. And then just kind of continued from there.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that is like a while, because it takes a lot of discipline to compete.
Yeah.
People get to see the show day and like the photos from the show day,
Yeah.
but they don't get to see the grind.
No,
and
it's
the
a total
struggle.
grind.
It is. It's brutal, man. I never competed, but I had so many people around me that did,
Yeah.
and the that internal battle that we all have, that voice,
Yeah.
becomes extremely loud for certain individuals when they're in that realm, because
Yeah.
you're sculpting your body and doing a lot of things that the vast majority don't do, so you're going through it.
Yeah.
The hardest part, though, I think, because for me, I can get up every day, and it's just been a life, getting up and going to the gym and
Yeah.
working out. That's the easy part. It's the grind for doing a show is the hard part. Is all the stuff that you have to do after the gym.
Yeah.
Literally, I can't have this piece of rice because that's the piece that
It's
would
all
take me
it's
over
all
the
the
edge.
weighing of the food, the meal prep, but also people forget that like you're not making any money.
No.
So like you also have to hustle and work to provide for yourself so that you
Really
can actually
hard.
do this. It is. It's really difficult.
Yeah, it's literally like a part-time job
For
when you
sure.
compete. And when I first did it, I was working I was working like 3 jobs, and I was going to JC part-time. And yeah, and starting my Instagram and my YouTube, and I was doing everything that goes into prepping for a competition. So I look back on it and I'm like, I literally don't know how I did it. I was just, you know, a little bit psychopath, which I still am, but that's like what your mindset has to be there to do it.
But that's the edge of greatness. I mean, greatness is crazy.
It is.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a lot of crazy.
It's doing more than what ordinary people will
Yeah.
do. You know, they're unwilling to.
They don't even think about it sometimes. It's not even something they don't get up at 4 to the gym. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
No, it's not even a thought
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it helps keep you out of trouble as well, because you're so focused on the main objective.
Yeah.
You don't have time to sit and be in your head thinking about other things that are of no importance, because you have to dial everything in, because it is so regimen from
Yeah.
school to this job to making sure I'm hitting the gym, making sure that my food prep is correct, all of the things. So by the time you put your head on the pillow, you're beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're also wound pretty tight, and sometimes you want to let loose. And sometimes those people that are high achievers like to, you know, take 2 or 3 days to themselves. You know what I'm saying? And just let loose, and they go over the edge. Like, you know, some hockey players maybe take Vicodin or pain pills on. You know, I mean,
It's like extremist.
yeah.
But that's also like, if you're saying that, it's usually people that already have an underlying problem that they're not dealing with, and that they're basically trying to
Possibly.
either be a workaholic or not face reality, so they go to doing bad
Well, it
things.
kind of takes me back to what you first said. You didn't get into this because of body dysmorphia
Yeah.
or other issues. Like, I got into fitness because of issues, not substance abuse issues. Those came later.
Well, what they call you?
Huh?
What they call
Fatty
you?
chatty?
2x4?
No, I mean, I made that shit up.
I think
but-
a lot of boys hit the gym because of that too. Like, I know that's how Jonathan ended up in the gym also, is to, okay, he's seeing other guys that are getting like attention his age.
Yeah.
So it's like, then you start to kind of figure out the ways to be a part of and to fit in and to feel good. And so you start to try to, you know, build a little bit of muscle, take some showers, put some cologne on, the basic little things to kind of, you know, up your game, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the guys were doing it in high school, and I was addicted to meth because I was a chubby kid. And then I found meth in junior high, right before 9th grade.
Yeah.
And I went from being a chubby kid to a really skinny kid.
Yeah.
And then when I got sober, I was like, there's no way I can go back to the way I was pre-meth, because I knew if I got like fat again, my solution would be meth.
Yeah.
So instead of it being meth, I made my solution the gym.
Yeah. It's a healthy outlet.
Yeah,
for sure.
And this was in 1996 when all of this happened for me, where I stopped using drugs and found fitness.
Good for you. Good for
And
you.
How long did you compete for?
I competed like all together, I want to say a year and a half. I did my first show, and then I qualified for, I forget what it is. It's like when you go and you could potentially get your pro card.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I placed really well. I placed in both my classes. I placed like first,
Oh, wow.
and then in another class.
Yeah, that's not really well. That's the best.
And then the second class, it was overall, and I placed second. And I feel like they gave it to the other girl because I had already taken first, because I was like, I was way more conditioned than her. But then those shows are so subjective.
Sure.
But I did that, and then my other show was it was almost kind of like it wasn't as extreme, and I did it for bodybuilding.com, where you like do the spokesmodel search type thing. So I did 3 shows, and then I reached a point where I was like, you know, I love like the what it really did for me, the grind and stuff, it really pushed me to my limits and showed me what I was capable of more so mentally.
Yeah.
The physical like aspect was, I never even really thought about that. Like I was proud, but it was more like, wow, I am capable. We're so capable of so much more that on a daily basis
Yeah.
that we really give ourselves credit for or really push
sure.
ourselves. And those time frames of when you really are like, you know, honed in, it shows you that. And then I switched after that. I was like, you know, I don't desire to get my pro card.
Yeah.
And it was like an identity shift for me though, because I'm like, oh my God, like this is what I base my, you know, my platform on. This is what I share with people. How am I going to connect? And then I transitioned into powerlifting and did that for like a year and a half. And that was their polar opposite worlds.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing experience, and both really pushed me, and both, it really pushed me and obviously grew my physique, and it showed me what I was capable of. But then after that, what was that, like 3 years altogether, I just kind of I got burnt out of everything being so regimented. And I was like, I want to get back to it for what I love it for, you know? Which is like really therapy at the end of the day,
totally.
you know, like my health and all those things. Because if we don't have our health, we have absolutely nothing.
I couldn't agree more.
So then I got back into it just for my day to day of, it'll always be a part, like a limb to my body. It'll always be a part of my life, God willing, you know.
Did you ever feel like in competition with your sister? Because I know she was like heavy in it.
Yeah. Oh, she's a beast.
Yeah.
My sister's an animal. She's also part psychopath too.
Yeah.
She did like 30
she's
something.
wild.
Yeah. Shows. And, like a lot of people can't say that, you know, and she went to the Olympia, all that stuff. But, which no, I never did. I never, ever did. I was always I had a lot of respect for my sister, even though we butted heads.
Sure.
I always had respect for her. Never any envy towards her at all. Yeah, I was always I had a lot of respect for what she did after I did it a couple of times. And I'm like, I do not desire to do that 30 plus something times. Like, no thanks, you know?
Yeah.
So,
which is huge just because you guys are so close in age.
Yeah.
That, you know, sometimes that's a difficult road to navigate.
I think she said her sister was 7 years older than her.
Wait, is Jessica 7?
yeah. Well, like
I don't know.
6.5.
Oh, don't know why I was thinking 2 years.
She had a brother.
Yeah, my brother.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I
that
think
makes sense.
the age gap was why.
Yeah,
we're
that totally
we're
makes-
very similar, but we're polar opposites at the same time. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then, so were you heavy in the competition and then powerlifting while you were living in Orange County, or was that also when you were in LA?
So I went, no, in LA, I didn't really, I'm trying to think. That was a time period where I wasn't competing. That was like after, was it? Because, okay, so when I was in the Bay Area, that's mostly when I was doing my bodybuilding shows.
Oh, okay.
And then when I came out here, but I want to say it was more when I was in Orange County for the year and a half before I moved to LA was when I did powerlifting.
Okay.
Because I did a competition at like Camp Pendleton and places like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like more Southern California. So yeah, I did like most of my powerlifting here, and then back home was when I was competing in bodybuilding shows. Yeah.
And then what made you move to LA?
At the time, I've always had this inner thing in me of like always wanting more, which has been a double-edged sword, because you're always like,
of course,
what's on the other side of the grass? But then it's like gotten me far with,
Yeah.
you know, like seeking opportunity.
Totally.
And I was just starting my Instagram and just starting to do online fitness coaching. And a lot of my girlfriends at the time, probably like 5 or 6 of them, had all moved to LA, and they were, you know, just living out there. And I'm like, you know what? I want to go out there because I want more for my life.
Yeah.
And I know that that's where I'm going to find opportunity. And I did. And then a lot of my girlfriends who were doing what I was doing online, I was seeing what they were doing, how they were doing it, and how much they were making.
Right.
And I was like, you're doing that, you're making that. I could do that and make that. And then so like I would join, that's when I started getting into mentorships and stuff like that, and just expanding my mind. And yeah, so that's what made me move out there. Was I was at a point where I wanted a change of scenery. And I always like, I've always wanted more for my life, and that will always be a part of me too. I'll always want more. I'll always want to expand in any way that I possibly can.
For
you
sure.
know?
Yeah.
It's a great characteristic. A lot of people don't have that drive, man. They're 9 to 5. They're doing this. They get into satisfaction. They get married. They get a couple kids. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know
Sometimes
what I'm saying?
It's a gift and a curse.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
I have that, and I
don't think it's a curse.
it's
a double-edged sword. I feel like.
It can be, because obviously.
Well, you have to control the urge.
you have
do
to.
things.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. Well, it's the thing is that comes with a feeling of never feeling satisfied.
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
And,
That's
and,
the
and
problem.
that's that's the curse.
Yeah.
in it.
I don't look at it as a curse. 'Cause I look at it like a blessing, because that you can learn to.
Well, you can.
And
That's
have the
it,
self-awareness
but that's
now.
that's why it is a gift and a curse, because you can utilize that to your advantage.
Yes.
But yeah, I was in therapy for a long time, and I was telling my therapist, and she's like, you need to learn how to be satisfied. And I was like, no, I won't, because that'll take away my superpower that I have that other people don't have to continue to move forward and succeed in life. And I have used it as that. But the part that for me, and I can't speak for everybody. For me, the curse that comes with it is a sense of emptiness and loneliness all the time. That I have because I'm never satisfied. Yeah. Like I can, but there's also a good thing about it is that I'm never looking in the rearview mirror. I'm not like, oh, life sucks. I forget about the past, and because I'm constantly going forward.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I accept it is what I've done, is I've accepted as a superpower.
Yeah.
And that it's okay to feel unsatisfied, empty, and lonely sometimes.
Yeah. I agree with that. I've had moments too with like just entrepreneurship where I'm like, is this really for me? Like, 'cause it's a lot. It's a lot to juggle so many things. Like you're your own
Everything.
boss of
You have to
everything.
bet on yourself.
Delegate everything, and I've just reached a point where I'm like, no, this is like what I'll always want to do. But I remember reaching like a big accomplishment in my life. I think it was like something financially.
Sure.
Like, especially coming from a background of like, we grew up like my mom was on welfare. We were always in like low income housing, it's just like, that was my norm.
Yeah.
And so just building that new relationship with how I looked at money and what it could do for my life. And I remember reaching like a milestone of like making 6 figures.
Totally.
And I was like, this doesn't feel like I thought it was going to be. It's more of like when you make more money, it's like an exchange of numbers of like where you place them, how you pay things and whatever. And I thought that was so fascinating of like how you reach these goals and it's like boom, boom, in life. And that's why the point that I'm getting to now of obviously I like the freedom that the financial freedom. I like that. That's what I like.
Right.
But that's why it's so important. And I'm like getting closer and closer to it and just praying that like God guides me in that, of whatever I do to glorify him in regards to my finances, because I know that like that's why it's so important to find something that's so purposeful when you're going towards those goals. And really the stability is within the process of working towards those goals also, so yeah, that's something that I'm still navigating in, like, because it's always going to be like that when you reach a goal, like, oh, like it's not the whoosh, like of what you thought
Yeah.
it would be. And that's why it's important. And I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to that and still figuring it out, because none of us have it all figured out, of like making things in that like area of my life, like financially, whatever I do, making them more purposeful, and like helping people, you know?
I think that's huge. And the fact that you have the self-awareness for navigating that is amazing, because a lot of people don't ever find that, because our imaginations are a wild thing, where you think that getting, say, the 6 figures for the first time, or the house, or the marriage, or the whatever it is that we create in our minds, that's when it's like, I got it, and I'm gonna feel it, and I'm gonna be happy, and everything's gonna be amazing, you know. And then it's a really wild experience to hit those types of goals, whatever they may be. And once you achieve it, it actually you're like on a high, and then all of a sudden, or at least in my experience, I get extremely depressed, because it's like, wait, that wasn't,
I thought it was going to be
longer.
longer.
I thought that was my juice. I thought I was like, that was everything. That was going to be
that was your
it.
forever.
That was my, we got it.
That's
But,
why they talk
you know?
about really focusing on the journey and not the destination, because a goal is a destination, right? That's a landing spot. You like you when you in our minds we think we've arrived, right? You never arrive
ever.
and that's why it's so important to not fixate on a goal, and you fixate on the journey to that goal, because that's where true joy and happiness and inner peace come from, is the journey towards that goal. I think your buddy from First Form, Andy always talks about that stuff, that you only win like 1% of the time.
Totally.
And when you get to the goal, that's a win, right?
Yeah.
And
Maybe
on to the
2% of the time.
I think there's a book called "Where's the Cheese" or "Who Moved the Cheese." It's something.
I'll
like
have
that.
to check that one out. I love books.
Who Moved the
Audio
Cheese
books
or
are
"Where's
my
the Cheese"?
jam.
It's about chasing always.
Well, it
keeps
also
moving.
there's
You
so
can't.
many
You got to keep
parallels.
moving
Keeps
it.
moving,
You got to
yeah.
keep moving the bar.
Yeah.
There's always another level, and there's always
Move the cheese.
Well, I also think that it's going to be a very different for every. There's not one solid way to do anything,
No.
Yeah.
and you really have to dig and figure out what makes you set your soul on fire, what makes you get up out of the bed, what makes you feel good, and hopefully you can coincide and do where you're living a purposeful life and also making money doing the same like at the same time. Because that's where I felt like I've come to the point where my inner peace, I'm straight now, just because I found it. Where I was searching for things that I thought that I wanted. There were certain goals of mine that I ended up achieving. But I still had the feeling of the lonely, like not fulfilled, like so empty, when I thought that was going to go away. But in reality, I think as human beings, you know, we are made to serve. When you're thinking about yourself so much, it's like, okay, you got to get out of your head and go help somebody, whatever that may be. It could be literally like, I love your outfit, you know, something to make somebody else feel good, help somebody else out. I think is definitely something that we as humans are made to do. And then also it's proven that it releases the same happy chemicals in our brain by doing something nice for somebody else.
Being selfless. Thinking
Which is
of
ironic
ourselves
if you think about it.
less.
Where you seek, in my instance, like drugs or alcohol, to either make me feel good or numb something or not have to, whatever, escape. I can do it in a much positive way by being a service to somebody else.
Absolutely.
Which isn't wild to me.
Oh, we buy it like biologically work like.
I know.
It's amazing.
It's insane.
Now, are you sober?
I am. I will be 7 months no
Wow.
alcohol in like 9 or 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm proud. I'm
take us
proud.
on that journey. How did you come to that point?
Well, once upon a time. No.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, where do I start? So I like addiction's like really heavy in my family. And I've learned that it's kind of like a demon that just always kind of lingers.
Sure.
And the more you get away from it, the further that voice gets, right? But, you know, my mom, she struggled and still kind of does. Thank God she's been sober for some time now. I'm really thankful to God for that because I know that that's the only thing that delivered her from that. Her choice was also meth. You know, her dad was an alcoholic. Like, it's just like on both sides, it ran very heavy. And then I grew up in a home that was just a lot of chaos. Like, that was my norm, was like a war zone. Like, it was just like normal, you know? So I'm like learning all these things. And then my parents divorced when I was 13. And at that point I was kind of going back and forth. I was just very broken and very lost and very young, no self-awareness, not, you know, just like on my own emotionally really. Because my dad was in a new relationship and my mom, like during that time also, like, you know, turned to substances again because that was her vice. And now I have a lot more compassion when I think about it, you know, for her. But so by 14, I was living with one of my friends because we always moved when I was young, and like that willingness inside to want better. And you know what I mean? Like, which I know I definitely genetically get that from my mom and my dad and God given for sure. But, so by 14, like I was having issues with my stepmom and I was living with my dad and going to a high school and I ended up getting kicked out and started living with one of my friends. And I'm like, I will not go to another school. I'm going to stay here. I don't care what it takes. I'll figure out a way. And I'm going to graduate from this high school. Like, I'm going to go here 4 years and I'm going to graduate because 2 of my siblings actually ended up going to like a continuation type thing and graduated, which there's nothing wrong with that. They completed it, but I was like, I don't want that. I want a normal high school career, you know? And then so I was always like very much a go-getter. Now that I like look back on it, like I was in student council and then I was doing cross country and then I would dabble in like other little like sports and stuff like that, but I always went back to cross country. And then probably I would say, no, probably my freshman year actually, I started like drinking like a lot. And I didn't like, it was all fun and games and, you know, I'm very outgoing and it was just like, I actually enjoyed it. Like I liked drinking. I liked partying. I never dabbled in like other things, but alcohol was always my main thing. And it just started progressively like getting excessive, and blackouts and just, you know, the whole, everything that comes with it. And I didn't realize, but like going into my junior year, I would say was when I really started realizing like, this is like an issue. You know, I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends and blacking out for me was normal. And I was like, oh yeah, da da da. And she's like, oh, I've probably blacked out like maybe like once. And then that's when I was like, oh, okay, then this is like an issue. Like that's normal. Like probably 1 out of every 4 times I black out, or like 1 out of every 3, you know? And so I didn't realize it, but at the time, because of everything that I had gone through and the trauma that I experienced, and just feeling very abandoned because my parents were like, when they divorced and, you know, like they never dealt with their traumas. And so it's like it happens, unfortunately, a lot of the time, it just gets projected onto your children. And so I didn't realize that I was suppressing a lot of things. And I just remember like just being so like sad and like broken and miserable and like very negative, you know, just about everything. And then I finally, had like a wake up call with it. I had started dating, this guy who actually taught me like everything I know about fitness and stuff.
Oh, wow.
I look back on it and he really believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, you know, and him and I are still like acquaintances now. And it's just funny how it all comes like full circle. Yeah. And then that's when I started getting into the gym, and I was doing the partying a lot and drinking. And, you know, at that point I was aware that I had an issue with it. Like I didn't have the best relationship with it, but I wasn't aware at like the extent of how much it would follow me into my life. And then so found fitness, doing the partying hardcore Friday through Sunday, and then, you know, going into the gym, not making progress. And then when I got serious and I started prepping, you can't drink in prep.
Yeah.
No.
You can't drink in prep.
Yeah.
So that was keeping me from drinking. And then, after I did my competitions and stuff like that, I would drink in between, but I was never able to like really go full force because I had the accountability of, if I don't do all these things to a T, I'm not going to do well. And what's the point, you know, because a part of my personality, I am kind of like extreme. I've somewhat found a balance of how to navigate it now, but I still am that way.
Yeah.
And then going into like, you know, past the bodybuilding shows and powerlifting, and then living here in LA and stuff like that, and having too much fun. And then probably the past, I would say couple of years, I was managing drinking, but it was still showing up in my life in patterns that were toxic, you know, like it wasn't like I ever woke up and like, oh, I need a swig of whiskey or like something like that, but it would be like, you know, every one out of 3 times it was excessive. You know, still experiencing the blackouts, and then even still, you know, like getting into my mid-20s, late 20s. And then it was extreme. Like I would, you know, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just like hardcore. And then it's like catapulted me into this cycle of like extreme anxiety, you know, tied into like depression a little bit. I never liked giving that power because I know people that actually really deal with depression, and I have respect for it. And I was like, you know, but it was kind of actually, now that I look at it, like mildly, you know, and it was like this whole just repetitive cycle for years, you know, like really this has been on and off since the first time I ever drank was when I was 13, 13 till, like recently, obviously 7 months ago. And so, and I just, probably the past, I would say like 3.5 years, I feel like it was just really getting in the way. It was still the same, you know, blackouts, benders, binges, and it was just like getting in the way of like everything in my life, my relationships, my faith, my work, you know. And I put I'm very hyper independent, and I know that comes from trauma. And it's like, so I've always put a lot of value in my work, you know? And so when you're drinking the way that I was, which is unsustainable, so I would beat myself up for, I didn't do this and did it, you know? So it was just all these things and emotional breakdowns, and just, you know, like I knew like it was not serving me. And I know like I have an addictive personality, and it's like runs in my family, and people very close to me, my family, they struggle with the same thing. And I'm like, this is literally like a generational curse, like, you know? And so, so then I finally decided to stop, like almost 7 months ago. And it was, I have to say it's probably one of the most hardest things to do in our society and culture, because everything is so embedded in our culture. Alcohol. It's all alcohol, you know. It's like, it's not like, hey dude, like let's go do heroin, or like, you know, it's like if you're like, you know, I don't drink, people are like, well, why, like, you know, and it's just so everywhere. So like the first 2 months it was challenging, and there was a couple of times my friends invited me out, and You know, they were like, let's go here and watch like the UFC fight. And I just like had moments like a couple of times just like in my car, just like I just like broke down because I'm like, this is my reality. I'm not in a position to put myself in those environments because I don't trust myself yet.
Yeah.
I do not trust myself. And you know, I'm not going to have one because it's apparent that I just can't have one. And, yeah, so it's, you know, like now 7 months like forward, it's the best decision I ever made. And I knew that I always had to surrender that, but, I knew that it wasn't going to be easy. And in the beginning it wasn't. And, but I'm like, everything in my life is thriving, like my health, my relationships with people, my faith, my relationship with God, who really like has been the biggest influence in my life and what has led me to like where I'm at now. I do not know where I would be without God. And I'm so grateful for my faith. Because once you know him, he'll always pursue your heart and he wants the best for you, you know? And it's just like, but yeah, like everything is just amazing. And I don't want to look back at all. And I think about it and it like gives me anxiety. Cause I'm like, I don't ever want to look back. Like I don't miss any of what comes with it. Like you cling to it so hard, these vices, whatever that is for people. Obviously mine was alcohol. I knew that I didn't have a good relationship with it and I had to let it go. Not that I was in denial about it, but I feel like I just wasn't like speaking about it because I didn't want to face the like reality of like what I knew I had to do for years and years and years. And yeah, so that's where I'm at now. And I'm just,
They've made liquor okay.
Well, they've glamorized it.
And it's a poison for your body. It affects your muscles. It affects your sleep. It affects your brain chemistry. It brings depression.
It's actually the worst drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
It's the worst
out there. It's the worst.
Yeah.
It's actually breaks down to a poison in your body. And I'm gonna say this: heroin does not break down to a poison in your body.
This is what we're saying.
Yeah.
And it's the one that's legal.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating for heroin to be legal.
No,
it
we're
is
just talking.
people die from heroin.
Yeah.
People die from alcohol every single
All the
day.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every day.
Big business.
Yeah.
Big business.
Big
Huge.
business.
Yeah.
But I'm also not advocating for
No,
them to
but listen,
make it illegal.
They found a way to bring heroin legally. They have pills. They're pushing pills. They found a way to bring crystal meth in with Adderall. They're finding ways to bring stuff in legally. It's here. It's all here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's here.
It's here.
Here.
So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, good for you. How are you
Thank
feeling? Like
you.
just better mentally? All everything.
Well, did you face any type of legal repercussions or anything that was like a really huge pivotal moment where you're like, what am I doing? Or was it just more along the lines of this kind of rat race amongst yourself with the constant roller coaster of like these kind of binges to trying to get it together to all, you know, like the ugly vicious cycle that kind of happens when you're on the hamster wheel?
Throughout my life, there was 2 times that like, the two wake up calls, but this is like when I was like still, one of the times was when I was 18. I went to the drunk tank and it was so funny. It wasn't even anything like crazy. Like I wasn't like blacked out or anything. I was just walking across the street to go into a party and all my friends went in and then I was like the little lingering one that the cops ended up getting.
Yeah.
So that, and then there was another time that was like pretty like traumatic, and ended up in jail. And I was probably obviously alcohol induced.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2020. And I mean, though, even those times, it wasn't like I still just went right back to it, you know, but recently, I feel like it's like where you start thinking when you don't have a good relationship, especially with alcohol, when you think that you're able to like manage it and you're not, like, don't lie to yourself because you're not. And it just like progressively, And I think it was because I was going through a lot of pivotal things with like my, like just my identity and like work and relationships, that I was turning a lot to drinking. And it was like, it was getting like out of hand.
Yeah.
You know, like it was just getting out of hand, like doing things with alcohol, you know, to ease my anxiety, like during the week of like stuff that I would never do, like midday having a drink and like to like, you know, because I'm like, I was getting to that point and I had never been at that point where I would wake up and be like, wow, I need a drink soon. Like, you know, like not like that, but the anxiety of like the come down was ramping up, you know, the benders and just and stuff like that. And then when it got to that point, I was like, I really have to stop. Like I've never done this. Like this is, you know, like drinking midday to ease my anxiety and stuff. Like I would wait till at least the evening, you know what I mean, to where I felt okay with having a glass of wine, like like normal people, you know.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's a bad feeling.
It is. It's a horrible feeling.
Because it's kind of a crack and an opiate feeling. Because you're thinking, well, I can't smoke crack right now, but I could wait another hour. Let's wait an hour till 5 o'clock and smoke it. You know what I mean?
Then I'll feel less.
I mean, it's called the progression, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I truly believe it's a disease. We have an ism, right? We have the I, self, me, and it sounds to me like you have it. The only person that can diagnose somebody with alcoholism, though, truly, is yourself.
Yeah.
It sounds like the progression was starting to happen. It sounds to me like you caught it early enough.
Yeah.
Because once you get past the progression, I mean, once you get to a certain level of alcoholism, right? It's just like it talks about it in the big book, but it's just like cancer. There's people that have not level stage 1 stage 1 cancer.
Yeah.
People have stage 1 alcoholism, stage 2 alcoholism.
Yeah.
When you become a stage 4 alcoholic, detox is mandatory every time you drink.
Yeah.
You know, you can be sober for 10 years.
Yeah.
And you can
That's a good
relapse
point.
And you will need a alcohol detox, medical detox every time, because the progression it's forever.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you this now, just so, because I don't know if you know it, and maybe you do, but even though we stop drinking, the progression continues. So if you are to stay sober for 10 years,
we're just 7 months right now,
and she's at 7 months right now. Well, even 7 months. There's been your alcoholism has progressed during those 7 months, even though you're sober.
Yeah.
We've tested it out.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
And it picks up right where you left off.
Well,
like,
worse.
No, exactly.
You know,
times more than you can even think.
So it kind of picks up where
that's.
it would have been had you never stopped and you're here.
Yeah.
So that's the
scary
part about it, but it's also like the deterrent to like go back.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I know if I use meth today, you know, the CIA hands me back my my meth-induced psychosis card, and I'm working for them again.
Yeah.
Or, you know, the air quotes. I didn't ever really work.
And you lose everything that
I
you
lose
work
everything
for, your
that I have.
family, and you run your shit into the ground, and you'll be
I let
alone.
these two down.
Yes.
I lose my wife. I lose my children.
Yeah.
That's where it goes, because that's
my
that's
mom's gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
So congratulations on being sober. When you were talking and you were talking about your friends invited you to, you know, to watch the UFC at a bar or whatever, have a couple drinks. It's like, you know what happens eventually? I don't have any friends that drink.
Yeah. And
Like,
I already had friends that don't drink, and now I'm like, oh my God, this makes sense. Like God was placing you in my life because I've become a lot closer with those friends, you know, and it's, I don't want, like, I like how I've always wanted more.
Yeah.
You can't chase the bottle and chase the weekends and progress and have more in
No.
life.
No.
It's like counter.
impossible.
It is, and that is,
You know?
that is the superpower of being
Right.
sober.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like you said, it's normal in our society to drink.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have a problem and you have a glass of wine tonight, I'm still getting up earlier than you.
100%.
I'm
Yeah.
still going to have,
And you're more on point. I mean, you got to think. You're drinking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 3 days. You're thinking about it. You're 2 days of recovery.
the money you
That's
spend.
5, and then 2 days of thinking about it. Your
Yep.
mind's not even on the game.
No.
Yeah.
And I actually work on Friday.
This is
I
what I'm saying.
work on Saturday.
Yeah.
You got
I do
Yeah.
stuff on
This is what I'm
Sunday.
saying. This is what I'm
Because
saying.
I can, because I'm sober and I don't
There you
need
go.
a day. I mean, I don't like physically come into the office on a Sunday,
You
We're
don't
always
have
working.
a day off.
but I
We're
don't have a
working.
day off.
Yeah.
I'm up
My-
every day at 4:35 every day, no matter what.
It
Yeah, but you
doesn't
know
matter.
why?
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Because we chose that life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Because we can. I wouldn't
I've
have it
had
any
the
other
other
way.
life
Yeah.
too. In
Yeah.
this one, fuck, man.
Way
You
better.
want financial freedom? You ain't gonna get it doing the
No.
thank God it's Friday.
No.
Like I'm like usually like, fuck yeah, it's Monday. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go fucking win this shit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's the attitude. And that is what I was talking about too on the other podcast the other day, where like I'm more than just a 12-stepper.
Yeah.
Like the 12 steps got me sober.
Yeah.
They got me sane.
Got you motivated.
They got me motivated
tools.
to
Yeah.
become motivated to seek more.
higher.
Yeah.
You know,
Toolbox.
like what you do. You
Yeah.
know, you're seeking more in entrepreneurship and as I've gotten older, you know, it takes men longer. I just want to tell you girls because
We stupider.
we for whatever reason.
No, but we stupider.
Like, why does it take us
Just
so
because
long
we
to
dumb.
mature?
We dumb.
You know, it's like I was telling Natalie earlier, if I could, I'm 50 now, and in 2009, it became illegal to talk on your phone in the car. So, and Bluetooth wasn't around. So I invented a rubber band. I just grabbed a rubber band off the desk. I put it around my head and my phone, and I was like, boom, I've got a hands-free device.
Yeah.
And I posted the picture today, and I was like, God, you looked so young and handsome. And I was like, but I was so fucking stupid still.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I could go back to
Right,
that guy
yeah.
with this,
Yeah.
Everyone says it. But
but you
it's
girls
time.
do mature much faster than us, make better decisions than we do. Sober
Sometimes.
decisions.
Yeah, right.
I want to
Yeah.
clarify
Yeah.
that because girls
Yeah.
don't make good decisions not sober.
No, definitely not.
I have a question for you. When you made that like decision, you know what, I need to remove this from my life. Did you seek like going to AA meetings, or did you do it through the church? I know there's many different ways that people maintain their sobriety. So I just had, I'm sure people that are listening have that same question as, do you work a program? How do you maintain your sobriety on a daily basis thus far?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at first I actually found an AA meeting that I really liked in Newport
Okay.
Beach, and I went to it. I had gone to like maybe 3. I could probably count on my hands
Sure.
how many times I'd gone before I'd actually really stopped and committed to it in my, the past handful of years of my life. But I went to a couple of them, and I do intend to go back and like do that because it's, in a way, it's like a good, it's just good to be in those environments because
Sure.
you hear people's stories, and I'm very grateful that I stopped at the age I stopped. I'm 32, going to be 33 in December. And, you hear these stories of people that didn't stop till they're like, and
Yeah.
it's like, at least you found sobriety. That's amazing. But I don't want to wait till then. I don't want to wait till then. I don't, the havoc that it'll have on my body and aging and just my health. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm so happy that, I found it now. And I know that it will always be a lingering demon. I know that, and so that's why I stay very close to God. And I just really, set myself up for success in the best possible ways that I can, you know? And I don't go in any kind of environments that I feel like I would be tempted. Like, I mean, I have gone in environments in the past like couple of months, but like I knew mentally before even going into it that the environment, like I was, even though it's an environment that would have alcohol, lots of it, I would never put myself in that position if I even like questioned it at all, you know? And the few times that I did, I had a blast and fun, and and alcohol was all around me, and I just didn't, you know, not that that's going to become my norm, but I want to still live my life, you know? But again, everyone's going to be different.
Sure.
But for me, so I went to a couple of meetings, and then I was talking to one of my good girlfriends, and her friend, who I know really well, like great humans, she hasn't drank for 6 years. And so I asked her, I was like, hey, has so-and-so, you know, like, does she go to AA meetings? And she's like, no, she doesn't. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of like inspiring. Not that I'm, you know, everyone's different.
For sure.
And I do intend, and I'm not just saying that because we're on the podcast and talking about it, I do intend to go back and like, you know, but I've been doing everything that I possibly can, and not in an isolated way at all either. I'm very open with my friends about my journey, and I'm surrounding myself around the right people that align with me, that support me like fully, you know, like even like in the beginning, a couple of my close girlfriends were like, I won't drink. I'm like, honestly, I'm at a point where like, if you have like wine or something, I'm fine. Like,
plus your job is helping people on a daily basis and helping yourself on a daily basis to improve your life. That's 7 days a week for her.
Yeah.
So even a drink is that's gonna counteract your entire existence, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where it was like, so like to answer that question, like I honestly haven't, I've gone a couple of times in the beginning, like the first month, but then I haven't, but I have been being very diligent about putting myself in environments, that and around people that don't tempt me. You know, it's really about, like setting yourself up for success. And one of my best friends, she did AA and all the 12 steps and everything like that. And she struggled with alcohol in the way that I do, like, you know, blackouts, benders. And I would always ask her, like, how did you do it? You know, like, and she told me, she's like, you know, honestly, I had to, in the beginning, like for her, it was like the first 3 or 4 months. She's like, I had to miss weddings. I had to miss birthdays, like 3 weddings, handful birthdays, because I just didn't trust myself in those situations. And I'm like, ugh. And that was the part that I was like dreading. You know what I mean? Like the social aspect, because I am social. And I enjoy the environment, you know, unfortunately that usually have a lot of alcohol. And so, but with working for myself, that was also, it was, which I've been working for myself essentially basically like since the beginning of 2017. And that was where it was almost like I was managing it because I didn't have a job to be up at 6 a.m. and that I didn't have that accountability. I was my accountability, you know? So I was able to get away with the 3-day benders and then recovering. And then, you know what I mean? And I'm honestly impressed that I was able to manage that and sustain and actually pay my bills and make money. You know what I mean? Because I was doing it so like half-assed with dabbling with my drinking, not having a good relationship with alcohol. But yeah, so I just been really setting myself up for success in that way of like not, I feel way better now. Like after 2 months, I went back home and, you know, my family, close people to me, they deal with the same thing. And my sister actually now she was inspired and she's 3 months sober.
Oh, wow.
But everyone, I'm Hispanic, I'm Mexican. So everyone's like, beer, tequila shots,
same.
You know?
Yeah.
And so 2 months in, I went back for Easter and I knew, I was like, I know I can go and not be tempted. And I was there all day, Easter, everybody celebrating, everyone drinking heavily since it started till the evening. And then towards the end of the night, I was like, I had a thought and I was like, wow, like a shot would actually be like fun. but I knew that I wasn't going to act on it. But yeah, so I'm like now in environments, like the feeling is still so vivid and relevant internally in my nervous system and body of how alcohol made me feel. And I just do not miss it. I don't miss it at all.
Nice.
No, it's really good. And I only asked that question just for curiosity because, I mean, we just had a gentleman on here a couple days ago where he's sober as well. He wrote a book and he doesn't do, AA. He just, there's not, I believe, I mean, there's not one way to do anything in this life. Like everybody has to find their own path, what works for them, what is best for them and their family. And that goes with sobriety as well. You know, I know a lot of people that are sober that do not work a program. I know I can only share like what my experience is. And I don't want other people to think that there's only like, this is the way and that's the only way.
Well, that's what turns some people off to Alcoholics Anonymous is the old school Alcoholics Anonymous was like, this is the only way to get sober. It's not true today. It's a great way to get sober. But what I heard you say in your answer was the most important aspect of recovery, period. Because even in the Alcoholics Anonymous book, it says that alcoholism is a spiritual malady. And you have a God in your life. You have God in your life. And literally, if you pray every single morning to stay sober, God will keep you sober. I will tell you what's amazing about the steps. The healing process that happens between steps 4 and 10, and that's going internal and doing that internal work on yourself to get rid of all of the trauma, get rid of all of the shame, the guilt, to get rid of all the weird things that we do to make those things okay. We call those character defects. And then the final steps of all of those, you do all of that. The final steps is you just go out, and because you've changed, you go out and you tell people that you've wronged, hey, you know what? I did this, and you own. And all you're doing is cleaning your side of the street. I'm not a big guy. I don't really go to meetings. I'm not like a meeting junkie.
I mean, I've been like that too. I mean, I do.
She does more meetings than I do. I've been to like 3 in the last year.
But that's just because it's like, that's just how I operate, is because I've tried not doing that and I fall off. So it's like, you know, I have a sponsor. I sponsor other women. But I've always not liked meetings. Just, I don't know why. I just never have loved to go to meetings. But it's just
until the
like,
meeting's over, and then you're like, damn, that was great.
No, totally. So it's just,
we run an online Zoom meeting now once a week on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The link is in our bio on our link tree if you want to attend. But it's for everybody. It's for people who have loved ones that are suffering. It's for everybody, and it's not even 12-step based. No. Although most of our guests that come and speak on the meeting are 12-step based. But not all of them. The thing is that if you're spiritually fit, you can go anywhere that you want. You can go where there's alcohol. I've been to clubs in Las Vegas.
I was a bartender
dancing
and a bottle service girl sober.
Just
like that's insane. I'm like, my job is to sell. Like, you know what I'm saying? Talk about playing like
in
total.
Vegas about a week ago, like, doing that exact thing.
So
I was
just
commenting on her post. Hey, how you doing there? How you doing out there, Noel? You okay or what?
My sister just went to Vegas, and she has a lot of, they comp her out there and stuff. And I was excited to go because the last time that I went, which was like, I think in 2022, beginning of the year, and I was drinking. But then when I was there, I literally was like, wow, you can literally come out here and do so much and not drink.
Yes.
It's so
much to do.
stimulating in itself.
Oh yeah.
And I don't even gamble, but like I love shows, like dinners, you know, I'm like, there's so much you could do.
Yeah.
Walking around, like there's just entertainment galore. And so my sister, she wanted to go, and we went literally end of August, and I wasn't exactly sure what we were going to do, you know, but I'm like, I didn't have a doubt in my mind that I was like going to feel tempted, or else honestly, I wouldn't have not have jeopardized and went myself, you know? And so we went and we did like everything you do when you drink. We went to the day, like pool parties. Not that I'm like telling anybody else to do this. It was just because I knew it's about knowing like
Totally.
but sometimes that can be kind of risky, you know,
Yeah.
you're kind of
Oh, it
walking a
can be
thin
risky
line
for people. Yeah.
but
I don't recommend that to anybody in their
I don't-
first
I
year
don't-
of
I don't
recovery
recommend, but-
or by themselves.
yeah. And my sister was also 2 months sober at this point. So we were going sober together. And so, yeah, we kind of live life on the edge.
Yeah, on the edge.
We're psychopaths. But so we went, and anyway, we did like the pool party thing, and we went to the club one night, and I just literally like everything, like we turned down probably thousands of dollars in good alcohol. And I think about it now, and I didn't even bat an eye. Like I really didn't. You know, so, and we had a blast, and yeah, so, that's what I was saying about like putting myself in situations. Like I didn't, you know, I just didn't feel tempted, and I felt exactly how I felt mentally going into it. It probably was very helpful that my sister wasn't drinking too.
This is how I know I'm old.
What?
Going to the pools at the day clubs, and like sitting in a pool of everybody's pee and all that. Like, I don't know what the point is. Am I just gonna have conversations with people that are
You go with your wife.
drinking?
Go with your wife. I'd go with Maren.
Yeah.
I'd go with Maren. I'd go with you and your wife. I'd go with Jonathan, Natalie. Relax.
It's fun when you're
That's
like, yeah.
fine. I probably won't get in the pool too long.
You never know, unless with the heat out there. Who knows?
Maybe.
You know, we
Yeah.
might. Yeah.
Yeah, but everything changed. You know,
It's like it just doesn't like the music. I'm like I would go with you, but
I'll go with
I
you.
would be like maybe an hour.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And then
I know,
I'm
but
out.
a people watcher,
Yeah. And
man.
then
yeah,
I'm
you
out.
guys were
Yeah,
old.
Yeah,
and
we're older.
people watching.
Yeah,
I
like-
The
love-
people watching
I
is
love
great. That's why I'm saying
seeing
I sit.
There's
I-
nothing like seeing a nice ass walk by. No, let's be honest. There isn't. No,
No, but
sure.
also seeing people drunk.
No,
Yeah.
I was just gonna
It's-
say.
Seeing
funny.
people drunk instilled and solidified it more for me. I'm so happy with my
Yeah.
decision. We were standing in line in the restroom, and there was this girl in front of me, which I'm nobody above her. I was her like not
Yeah.
long ago, and you could tell she'd been crying.
Yep.
She probably
Yep.
just had a breakdown,
Yep.
literally.
For sure.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, your
Won't-
norm.
She won't remember what she even is
No.
crying about tomorrow morning when she wakes up.
And I had like a little conversation with her, and she was like really drunk, and I was just like making sure she was okay. And then her friends came in, and they're like, "Oh, she's drunk." And I'm thinking to myself, of course, it's like a parent, you know. And then I just saw that, and it's so like it's like not her, just the whole
Yeah.
thing in general that it encompasses is so
Unsexy.
ugly.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
sexy.
so
It isn't.
ugly. And
Yeah.
I was like, and I was talking to my sister about it, and I was like, I just don't like that. And this is when we were leaving, and I'm like, this is like, I just don't want that life ever anymore. Like, it's so like, ugh, like what, it just, everything about it like sucks the soul
For sure.
out of you. Like, it sucks everything out of your life, like anything good. And then seeing like other people like super drunk, I'm just like, this is just so like, this is just ugly. Like, I don't.
Because
Yeah, feeling good is one thing, but hammered or blackout drunk when you're sloppy, I mean, that's just aggravating.
Well, no,
it's always been aggravating.
But this goes to what we were saying is like
It's hard
it has
to
a
deal
fault-
with the person that's blacked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
drunk,
but
too,
we
when
have
you're
a
the
false
friend.
thing.
Or
It's
or
like
even
it's
just, yeah, they're hammered.
glamorized
Yeah.
on
No
on
bueno.
Yeah.
television.
It
so
never
makes
turns out that way for
fake.
me. I'm
No,
the guy
for
home.
no one though. Like I'm not excluding the
I'm
addicts
thinking,
and the alcoholics.
"Woo,
The
we're
chicks
gonna
that are leaving the
go."
club with their chocolate like left in underneath underneath the table with the half their extensions walking out.
What
I can't.
what-
I'm not knocking them
can you
because
guys-
I've been there.
Can you
And that is not
tell
a
me
good look.
What
Not
the
at
girls
all.
are doing
Right?
going there?
No.
Like,
Is it
it's
for hooking
Seeing
up?
that is
Yeah.
like really a good
Is it?
indication
It is.
of like,
having a good
damn, I feel bad for like,
Yeah.
I feel bad for myself.
Yeah.
Like that I would let myself do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't cute.
No.
And when I'm
At
in
all.
Vegas,
By
I
the
see
time,
that.
but
And I'm
by
like,
the time
wow.
you ladies spend all this time getting
Dolled up.
glamorous,
Dolled up. I'm
Dolled up.
I'm like 90. We say dolled up.
getting
Jesus, man.
all ready, and then but by the time the night ends,
Dogs.
Yeah.
I was with my daughter in Miami at the where did I say the something blue
Fountain blue.
Fontaine Blue,
Mountain blue.
Fountain Blue,
Yeah.
and they have that really nice nightclub there.
Yeah. They just opened one in Vegas actually recently.
That's yeah they did.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
in Miami, and we were boning out to our to get our flight
Yeah.
right when the club was ending, which was 4 a.m.
Good
in
time.
Miami.
I love Miami.
And I watched the ladies coming out of that club,
Yeah, haggard.
and I was like, wow,
Wow.
wow.
Whoa.
Sober, I'm sober as fuck, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow.
Wow.
In my drinking days, I would have thought they were beautiful and
Yeah.
would have wanted to take one of them home.
Yeah.
And now I'm like sober, and I'm going, poor things,
Yeah.
poor girls.
Yeah.
Extensions half falling out, eyelash half only one eyelash
Yep.
on, freaking makeup
No
Barefoot.
shoe. Yeah.
Barefoot.
2 fingernails broken. You know?
all that.
Yeah.
I'm just happy with. I
running
love
down
my
the side of her
life.
face.
I you know my wife looks beautiful without makeup on
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the morning, even with her stinky breath because it never even stinks. She might tell me, "Oh my breath stinks right now." I think it's just because my breath stinks and she doesn't want to give me a kiss. But
More
whatever.
than likely.
All good.
Yeah.
Sober
Yeah.
life is
Sober life is nice.
Yeah.
I
good
mean, I'm
for
on
you.
it's a
Thank you.
movement.
Good for you to grab it, you know, because it takes a lot for individual to kind of take that first step of, because it feels especially I feel with certain individuals, and usually alcoholics and addicts are extremists,
Yeah.
and it's hard to come to the realization that you have no control over this.
Yeah.
This is consuming your life.
Yeah.
And that I think is hard because clearly, you know, certain individuals that I've met, and obviously sitting at this table, like you're hungry, you're a go-getter, your drive is unmatched usually.
Yeah.
So to have something like that is a hard pill to swallow, because then you feel like defeated in a sense when you think that you can conquer so much. But for you to grab that before any real wheels fall off,
Yes,
and
that's what I was
destruction
thinking.
is really, really important.
Yeah.
And I want people that are listening to hear your story and find hope that you don't have to go to great lengths like us three, where we're causing so much destruction, not only for ourselves from like the whatever trauma and things that we have done, but to people that we love, to like our
Yeah.
family, the financial, the other elements that are added on top of our problem that we're eventually going to have to face.
Yep.
And that means like legal things of like making sure you're showing up on time with your like,
Yeah.
whether it's your parole officer or doing certain things that normal people don't have to do. So it's
Yeah.
like, I want people to hear you, especially the younger generation, because you're right. Alcohol and drugs are glamorized so much in our entertainment
It's sad.
that
Yeah.
that's not the reality, because that is like if you can drink like a normal person and have like a half a glass of something.
Yeah.
No one's having a half a glass. It's like the aftermath, and that's what's not being said or being like shown.
Yeah.
And your story to me is very encouraging, because it's like you had the wherewithal to understand you don't like how you're making yourself feel,
Yes.
and you're not living up to your potential that you know that you can do.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's about being a better person, both for just, I think ultimately every human is searching for inner peace.
Yeah.
We're stuck with ourselves. You can't dodge you. You go to bed with yourself, you wake up with yourself.
Yeah.
So that's usually what we're seeking when we're picking up other vices, whatever they might be.
Yeah.
And so to have that at such a young age before all of the other things, because It sounds like you got the ism for sure.
Yeah.
And those things will come eventually. And that's what's scary about the disease is that it's always knocking. It's always doing push-ups.
Yeah.
Ready for you.
Ready.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Doing steroids in
good
the
for you.
background.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, and I feel like everybody has their things, you know, like
Of course.
and I see it in ways with my siblings. Obviously, they're so close to me.
Of course.
And my oldest brother is like an extremist with, he channels it in other ways. Like he does like triathlons. Like he just runs like 60 miles a week and it's like normal for him. He's like 60 miles. I'm like, so it's channeled in like a different way, you know, but it was, and I know that it's something that I'm always going to have to face and continue to conquer. And it's like shitty, you know what I mean? Like if we're just being real, but at the same time, I have peace. I have more peace with it now because I'm like, we live in such a broken world. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people deal with that they don't talk about. I didn't talk about it for a long time, you know? And still to an extent, I am keeping it like sacred, but I know that God made this a part of my story and a Goliath in my life, because I'm going to overcome it and continue to overcome it, whatever that looks like going forward. And it's more than likely not going to be perfect, but I'm like ready because I'm ready to help other people through that. You know, like I know that like I don't necessarily want this to be my entire story, but it's a big part of my life that I know that I'm going to be able to help other people through it. And that's the only thing that gives me peace. I'm like, the reasoning behind this is because God's going to use this in a greater purpose for whatever that is when I'm ready to open up more about it.
And that's giving hope to other people and encouraging them. And especially because you do work with individuals with your business and going, whether it's, you know, you're coaching and mentoring through social media where you have one-on-ones with people. Yeah. So it's encouraging for people to hear that someone that they look up to and admire like yourself, because you do have a brand and that's how you make your living. It's inspiring to them that you're not like a Natalie, Chad, or Shane where like I have to go to meetings and I have to have a sponsor and I have to sponsor other, that's part of my deal. But like you're a person that has decided that you just, this is causing damage in my life. I'm putting it down. And focusing on myself and other things to get better. So you're giving that gift to other people without you thinking maybe you are or not, because you are a brand. You live your life on social media. So it's not all of you. It's just a little part. And that's what people are attracted to, is the realness of individuals. And that you're just stepping into your own. And I think it's beautiful. So congratulations.
I just want to note, Lewis, what she said before Natalie was a really good reel.
I forgot what I said already.
When you talked about the Goliath. That was really.
I thought about that because the times that I had like breakdowns in my car, like 2 different times, I'm like, fuck, I can't go. Like I cannot go. Like no, you know. And then there's those people that they don't like. I don't know if it's like negligence or what it is, but they don't take it as seriously as they've seen the blackouts. They've, you know, the friends or relationships, they've seen the havoc that it's caused in your life. And they still are kind of like, oh, well, you know, I understand, but like, I'm still going to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not that like.
You can have one, it's fine, you're fine.
Yeah, they don't understand it. And it's like, no, like,
It's
you
a
don't
hard thing
understand.
to-
This is like an issue. This is
I always tell them, like, I could have one.
Yeah.
And then I could, you know, fuck up my life more.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I like me this way.
Yeah.
Do you? If you don't.
Well, then why are people so, like, I always spin it. Why does it matter if I have a drink or not?
Because you're more fun when you drink.
No, because
some
then
people
it makes,
think that about you, though.
It makes
not you personally.
No, for
you.
sure. But you know what I'm saying? Where then it's like, wait, so
you
have to reevaluate who you're surrounding yourself with
Yeah,
too,
For
because
sure.
your friends and people that you want, or at least I want in my little circle, I want them to call me on my shit, and we elevate one another, as
Yeah.
opposed to sometimes you got to look around and see people maybe encouraging you to have that drink because they need a buddy too.
Yeah.
Like they need somebody to do their benders with.
Yeah.
You know, that's just a thing that you sometimes see as well. Sometimes people, you know, don't need to step on the next level with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like those people, not that they were bad people,
No.
you know, but
Not at all.
they started just getting slowly filtered out of my life, like naturally.
Yeah.
Um,
God handles it.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, it makes sense now. You know, like when I was in my like big partying
Sure.
phase,
Yeah.
and they were there, and then this things just didn't start aligning of like the conversations we were having, and I'm like, why are we talking about like guys and what you were doing the night before with them? Like, I want to talk about like goals, and I want to talk about how we're going to like level up in life. Like, I don't want to have these conversations that are making my brain shrink, like,
Yeah.
you know, so people just started like kind of
Yeah.
filtering out
Well, and that's what's
naturally.
nice is that she quit, or she slowed down and now quit because she wanted to improve her life. She didn't really see any drastic catastrophes happen in her life in the last year and a half, 2 years. Just slowly,
Yeah.
she wanted to improve herself, which is a
Yeah,
nice.
that's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah,
great.
it's a beautiful
It's
way
a-
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And she
great.
could
It's
pass-
inspiring.
For others,
inspiring.
yeah.
She could
So
pass
that
that on to her
people-
clientele and say, even if they're drinking 2-3 drinks on the weekend, say, listen, if you just really stop, your life will improve. You have my word on that.
Yeah.
You know, that's cool.
Well, awesome, amazing
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, really nice.
I wish you all
Really
the best.
good.
Yeah,
Please
man.
Thank
Thanks
give
for
your
coming
sister
in.
my love. Tell her I
Thank
said
you.
hello.
I will.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
What a small world.
Yeah.
Man. That's nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
It is.
Thank you
Thanks,
for
Noel.
having me.
Yeah,
Thanks for
for
coming.
sure.
Thanks for
You
being
guys.
vulnerable.